It is vlog 156. We are going to, coming up in just a couple of minutes, show you what happened when we had a live $1,000 straddle in the $5 game, and he got action on it. But let's head over to Peppermill, play some poker, and try to make back some of what we lost last time out. Hoops hysteria was the theme at Peppermill this week. I get into the poker room at about 2 o'clock on a Friday and sit out in what became the third $5 no-limit game. I lose a few small pots out of the gate before seeing the low jack open to 15 and the hijack make the call. I'm in the cutoff with pocket kings and make it 55, to which the hijack is my only customer, and my $65 bet takes the pot down on a 6-high flop. After that, I was card dead early. I lost $65 in a set mining operation with pocket sevens in a 4-way pot, but recouped it almost immediately after 3-betting ace-queen. Despite it being checked down the entire way, I won unimproved. Over the next 2 hours, it was death by 1,000 cuts, though. Could not get dealt the best hand to save my life, and in this lineup, that was problematic. I do pick up king-queen under the gun and make it 25. Local legend, Mr. C, who just sat down, ends up being my only caller in the cutoff, and with 55 in, it comes jack 8-3 with 2 hearts. I make a $35 continuation bet here, which may have not been the best idea, and he makes the call. With 125 in, the turn is a 10 of spades, one of the better cards in the deck for me, giving me an open-ender. I decide to use that to see if I can potentially get him off of a weak jack here. I bet 75, but instead of folding, he triples the bet, making it 150 more. Pretty clear he has a big hand here, and, well, if I can connect on my draw, I can likely expect a double up. So I decide to go ahead and gamble and make the call, and with 575 in, the river is a king. I check here, despite the fact that I now have top pair. He checks, and when that happens, I expect to win the pot a lot of the time, but I don't, as he checks back jack 10 offsuit for 2 pair and the win. After that, I lose a few more pots, including one where local favorite Dave B ran a bluff with the skinny, only to get there, making a straight and felting a guy in the process. A short stack limps under the gun. I have ace-queen +1 and make it 30, to which 2 guys call in late position. The limper then jams all in for a total of $80. I make the call, as do the others, so with 320 in, the flop is queen 5-8 with a couple of clubs. I bet out for 65, and only the button calls. So with a $130 side pot, the turn is another queen. And my bet results in the button folding, and come to find out, I needed that queen, as the under-the-gun limper had pocket kings. So we're stuck only a little early on. I then table change to table 5, where there is a little more action, but a lot more money in play. I don't pick up many hands at the new table, but I did get a squeeze through with ace-jack early on to kick things off on the right foot. Then with the seat open and 2 players walking, I go with the light open with the queen-jack, making it 30 from the hijack. Cutoff calls, and a pro in the button decides to 3-bet to 125. Folds back to me, and for several reasons here, I felt that he was quite light. And I do something you don't often see me do. I make the light 4-bet to 300. And he only takes a minute to reveal that he was indeed making a move with the skinny. So we win that one, but unfortunately lose the winnings back to that same guy about 10 minutes later when my king-jack collides with his king-queen on a king-high board. So I was just unable to develop a winning image. And combine that with still feeling kind of sick after what had been probably the sickest weekend of my life a week earlier. It gave me all the reason I needed to cut the session short and book a loss. All right, so after a $2,000 loss yesterday when I did not vlog, a $511 loss today when I did vlog, morale is at, well, not an all-time low, but certainly a low for this year. So I'm going to take the next 5 days off, come back, and shoot a couple more hands for this vlog next week. All right, well, that session was just clearly inadequate for the purposes of making a vlog, so we're going to have one more before this is out. But first, let's talk about what happens when a conversation comes up in the game that involved what I wanted to see happen in a poker game. It was pretty funny. I had two players on my immediate left that I was talking with, and somehow someone else in the game had talked about things they wanted to see happen but had never seen happen in a poker game. And I quickly pointed out two things. I said, I want to see the triple check raise pulled off in a hand, and I want to see a live hockey puck in the game, a live $1,000 straddle. And to my amazement, these two players on my immediate left both spoke out about this. One of them said, oh, well, I've done the triple check raise. Granted, it was in limit, but I did do it at one point in a big cooler hand. And the other guy said, yeah, and I've made a live hockey puck. In fact, I did it just last week when you weren't here. I find that astonishing. So I proceeded to look at him, and I said,
do it again. For me.
And come to find out, he did. He puts a live $1,000 on his button, and someone actually asked him if he was kidding, and I knew that he was a guy who's not going to be kidding about this. And this hand involves, like so many hands in Reno Poker do, the legendary Mr. C. And he proceeds to just come out and raise to $55, not realizing there's a live 1,000 on, even though it had been said by the dealer several times. And after he tried to raise to 55 and then found out what was going on, he pulls it back and then says, I'm all in, for somewhere in the $2,500 vicinity. And of course the floor comes over and says, no, you can't do that. You just put in 55, so therefore it's going to be just a call of the 1,000. Folds back around to the straddle, he checks, and amazingly, in kind of anticlimactic fashion, the board just runs out, and Mr. C wins the hand with ace-queen unimproved. So it wasn't ultimate fireworks, but we did see it, a live $1,000 straddle, and it happened again after that on a hand that had a lot more action. Unfortunately, I wasn't around for it, but kind of the epitome of how the game can get when you got guys that want to give action and they want to give it in interesting ways. And, well, that's what happens. Huge straddles at the Peppermill Poker Room. Anyway, we have been running extremely bad of late. 5 losses in our last 7 sessions, down somewhere in the area of around $4,000 over the course of that stretch. So lots of work to do. Let's hit back to the poker room. See if we can't do a little bit of it. I recorded an intro inside at Peppermill to start part 2 of this vlog, but the audio quality was so bad that I decided to not air it. I sit down at about 3 o'clock on table 5 at Peppermill, and the first playable hand I was dealt on the day was King 9 of diamonds on the button. My raise got 3 callers, but my bet on Jack 10 8 1 diamond got raised by the last guy in the game I wanted raising me. I elected to call the 60 more on the flop, but folded to his turn bet when an 8 paired. Then I raised King Queen of hearts to 25 in the big blind and a limper call. With 75 in, it comes King 4 deuce with 2 clubs. I bet 35, big blind calls, and +1 folds. With 145 in, the turn is an offsuit 3. I bet 75 here. In hindsight, that bet should have been a lot bigger. He calls, and with 295 in, the river is an offsuit 5. He now bets out for 150. I figure that he's putting me on an ace a lot of the time here, an ace-king and specifically a lot of the time here, and he wouldn't choose this as the card to bluff. I folded the hand. I didn't get a look, but he later told me that he had King 6, which makes a lot of sense. And then under the gun opens 10, and I have pocket 6s +1 and make the call. 6 players call behind, so with 80 in, the flop is deuce 3-4 with 2 diamonds. Original raiser bets out for 20. With an overpair and a gut shot here, I decide to come along. Only a small part of me was surprised by the fact that every player but one calls behind. With 220 in, the turn is an offsuit 5. Under the gun checks. Looking to keep all the aces in here, I bet 85.
+2 and middle position call. And the low jack decides to raise to 200. Folds back to me, so now what's my play with 700 left in my stack? Given the amount of players in and ways I could still lose, I decide to just jam all in right now. It took longer than you'd think to fold back to the low jack, who decides to snap call. So we have a $1,900 pot and agree to run it twice, and I am not where I want to be. She shows 10-6 of diamonds. So I am getting free rolled here, which sucks. I'm going to need you to hit that like button in hopes of bailing me out of this jam. First board pairs threes on the end, so that one's going to be a chop. And the second board is the ace of hearts. So we do split the pot. Fortunately, no diamonds get there. Apparently the two guys on my left both had diamond draws also, so there weren't too many left in the deck. It felt like it was going to be tough for me to be in that bad of shape, having two of the sixes in my hand, but so goes it sometimes. Then we get a $30 open from the low jack, and I have ace jack of clubs on his immediate left and make the call. Everyone else folds, and with 65 in, the flop is 3-4-5 rainbow with one club. He fires out for 60, and I certainly wasn't sensing a lot of strength here, given what I know about this guy, and I'm not folding two overs, a gutter, and the backdoor nut flush draw. So with 180 in, the turn is the jack of spades. He bets out for 130, and I'm not going to raise here because I'll lose his bluffs and only keep him in when he has bigger overpairs. So I call, and with 440 in, the river is another 3. Now he bets out for 200, which I proceed to snap call, giving us an $840 pot. He shows pocket deuces, so we are out of the red after a rough start. I then 3-bet pocket jacks and flop top set on jack 8-4 rainbow. This should have been a slow play, but I made the mistake of betting it instead. Shockingly, 2 quick folds ensued. I was then completely incapable of making a pair for the next hour and a half and lost back some, but not a ton, of my winnings. Local legend Mr. C then sits down in the game and stacks his chips in a very slobby manner. I raise 30 over a limp with pocket jacks and the low jack and get 2 callers. With 90 in, it comes 6-4-3 with a couple of clubs, and middle position bets out for 65, to which I have an obvious call. Big blind folds, and with 220 in, the turn is the 6 of clubs. He now bets out for 150, and while this isn't a fold, I'm definitely getting concerned now. With 520 in, the river is an offsuit 9, and now he checks. I think this gives me the green light for a very small value bet, so I toss in $60, to which he takes about 10 seconds to think about and lays the hand down. I do think he was putting me on a hand very similar to what I had. Then there was a moment that I enjoyed on the TV screens at Peppermill. Arkansas upsets Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. Eric Musselman is clearly an elite college basketball coach after having a great tenure here in Reno for the Wolfpack. I was happy to see him succeed, as he always gave me great interviews during his 2 stints in Reno, one with the Pack and the other with the NBA D-League's Reno Bighorns a couple of years before that. I then lose back $100 turning a pair and a flush draw and trying to bluff someone off top pair, which shockingly did not work. I then lost another $125 to Mr. C by calling his pre-flop raise when I had pocket sixes and folding on an ace-8 deuce flop. He would go on to show deuce 5, by the way, in that spot, so I got bluffed. And Mr. C was playing virtually every hand at this point. He opens $75 from +1, and a pro in the low jack calls. The cutoff also calls, and for the first time in several weeks, I pick up a pair better than pocket jacks. I settle on a sizing of $250, to which Mr. C snap calls, and the cutoff calls as well. So with 830 in, the flop is ace deuce 3 rainbow. Not what I wanted to see. Obviously, they check to me, and I elect to check it back. Turn is another deuce. Mr. C bets out for 325, and the cutoff folds. Playing 1,000 effective, I wasn't sure about this one, but decided to make the call. With 1,480 in, the river is a 7. And without 1 second of thought, he jams all in for my last $700. I felt pretty confident that if he was bluffing, it might be a 1-bet and done scenario a lot of the time. And I had to hope this was one of those times. I fold the hand. I didn't think I was going to get a look at his cards, but I do. He had ace-king. So lately, that's been a hand that I can't win with, and I can't beat. Not a good combo. Then my king-queen loses to his pocket tens in a 3-bet pot, and all of a sudden I'm stuck 700 in a game in which I thought losing would be very unlikely. Tilted, I decide to go for a 10-minute walk. I end up going past the taco truck across the street where you'll often find Reno Grinder, but apparently not today. I jump back in and add on for 500. Some coolers occur, but the thing that does not occur is me getting dealt the best hand. A lot of big aces and medium pocket pairs to no avail. And the times where I could potentially have the best hand were also the times where my opponents seemed to put the perfect amount of pressure on me. So it was a nightmarish stretch. Then it felt like, after 3 brutal hours of poker, that I might potentially be able to get a spark when I pick up ace-queen of diamonds. I opened a 20 plus 1, getting 4 colors, and with 100 in, the flop is all 7s. I bet half pot here, to which only the hijack comes along. With 300 in, the turn is a 9. I definitely should check here. So what do? I decide to hope that he has a hand like pocket 4s, and I bet. I make it $85, to which he calls, and now I've definitely ruled a hand like pocket 4s out. With 470 in, the river is an ace. So, now I'm very likely to have the best hand here, but I'm going to have to size down to get action from weaker holdings, because regardless of if he can beat it or not, it's very likely that most every opponent in this game will put me on ace-king in a spot like this. I decide to bet out for just $90 here, and he immediately jams all in. Now, due to the dreadful nature of the last 4 hours, I only have, after I make that $90 bet, $125 behind. I've said this before on this vlog, but I am a terrible short stack player. I often level myself into thinking that people are making plays based on my stack size, when in reality, they're just betting their hands. And this was one of those times. If I'd had 1,000 behind, I don't call any raise here. But given the fact that I only had that little left, I decided to do what I shouldn't have done and level myself into thinking that this had to be a call. So we have a $900 pot, and I lose to 7-4 of hearts for a flopped quads, and for the second straight vlog, we are felted.
All right, so a $1,500 loss once again. Didn't think it could happen, but it did. Basically, every big hand I've had has managed to get cracked. I'm not speaking any more words.
Alright, well, we seem to be unable to book wins here on this vlog for the time being. Kind of thought a downswing might be coming after February, where it seemed like the opposite was true. I was almost unable to book a loss on the vlogs that were being done back then. So I'm not really surprised that a downswing has come, but they're just never easy to deal with when they actually do get here. But we can get a quick question of the week in on this vlog. It comes from Matt Davidson. He writes in, do you feel any kind of rivalry with your fellow poker vloggers? Or would you say it's more camaraderie? Also, who's been your favorite fellow vlogger that you've played with over the years thus far? Well, I've never felt any rivalry with the other vloggers. The way I look at it is, you don't have to watch vlogs at the same time. It's not like working in local news where if you watched one show, you couldn't watch the other. So I understood the rivalry there. But in this case, if you want to watch my vlog and then also go watch Jeff Boski's vlog, well, you can obviously do that because of the way that things work now. So no, I've never really felt a rivalry there. Although, based on some comments and things that I've noticed over the years, not all vloggers seem to necessarily feel that way. But I'll leave that alone. And as for my favorite vlogger to watch, I would say that my favorite, certainly, personality is Jeff. Jeff Boski. I love his dry sense of humor. It's just, I think, perfect for the poker vlogosphere. I don't love tournaments, obviously, so that is the one part about his vlog that is not the most appealing. I still like Andrew's a lot when it comes to showcasing cash games. He doesn't do too many anymore, but the early days of Andrew Neamey's vlog, I would say, were my favorite to watch, to answer that question of the week. Hey, if you made it this far, do us a favor and hit those like and subscribe buttons. And if you're somehow new to this vlog over the course of like the last 3 weeks, I can assure you, and I guess you're just gonna have to take my word for it or watch old vlogs, I can assure you that I do usually win, believe it or not. Well, you wouldn't guess it if you watched the last couple weeks. And consider checking out Crush Live Poker. I know I'll be doing a lot of that this week given this downswing. You can get 25% off a basic or premium subscription for life, and it's definitely guaranteed to help your game. I know it's helped mine over the years. There's a link in the description below. We'll see you next time.